one podcast, mining the Magic the Gathering community for salt. This is the Howling Salt Mine.
It's the Howling Salt Mine. The Howling Salt Mine.
Well, welcome back, everyone, to another episode of the Howling Salt Mine podcast, the podcast where we delve into those salty mines of the Magic the Gathering community, find the saltiest stories, the saltiest posts that we love, put them in our mine cart, and bring them right back up to you, our dear prospectors at home. As always, I'm your host, Sam, and I'm joined by my two co-hosts, Mike and Tony. Say hey, guys.
What up, what up, what up?
Hey, guys.
So before we do salty stories or anything else, you know we got to shout them out. you thought I forgot, but I didn't.
I did.
You know we got to shout them out.
I'm not even sure if you did or didn't forget. I think at that moment,
did, and then
there may have
cued
been
yourself.
Hey, who's to say? Who's to say, really? But you know we have them, our nice tier patrons. And this week we have Alex Balix, Crean Bean, Prime Speaker Florian, Dr. Black, Accidental TPK, and ZZ. Thanks for being so nice, everybody. We appreciate you. And before we get into any salty stories, you know we got to do our preamble about some random bullshit. I decided to start saying that now because sometimes we just start the show and talk about s'mores for 15 minutes. And I'm like, listening back to those episodes, I'm like, do people know that we talk about magic? Like, we say it in the very, very intro, but, you know.
I feel like they get it. I feel like you don't have to be like, we're going to preamble now, and then we're going to like move into the other thing, you know?
So let's
I think we
preamble
should just
now.
get right into stories every episode.
Really? And no preamble?
Yeah, fuck the preamble.
Wow.
I don't actually feel this way, but I do. I do sometimes after the 15 minutes of bidet conversation. I feel this way.
The bidet.
After the bidet conversation, I feel the most strongly that
Yeah.
this is required.
That's true. I take back everything I said. That changed lives. That changed lives.
Can I tell you, I've definitely told people the premise of the show that it's not really about magic, but sometimes we talk about other things, and I always reference bidets now. And I've had multiple people listen just to the bidet conversation.
Oh, hell yeah, dude.
Come back to me and be like, this is wild, and I love it.
Dude, I have friends that don't play Magic and they listen to the first 15 minutes and then they listen to like the last 10 and that's all they're in, you know? And I'm like, hey, more power to you. I appreciate it. Yeah. A download's a download. Mm-hmm. I should say we're still here in Howling Salt Mine HQ, our sweet recording studio in the mine.
Yeah.
Which is that extra room in my house that I'm doing the same thing for. We should definitely play some original Halo on my CRT.
Oh,
after.
shit, bro. I mean,
Do you guys have any AA batteries for the controllers?
yeah, I brought AA batteries.
If you had told me, I would have. We have a shit ton of.
Really?
Yes.
Honestly,
I was
same.
just.
I do have AA's as well.
My fiance is this amazing human that is very different than.
I met her. She's great.
Oh yeah, yeah. You guys have met like once, maybe. I realized how different she is from me when I walked into like our storage room, and she'd got like a batteries case
Ooh.
packed with batteries and a little battery reader that'll tell you how much charge is left on the battery.
Oh
So
my
we
God.
probably have like 40 AA's right now, 40
Damn.
AA's,
Whoa.
and then some of the like D's and like
D cells and
weird
shit?
D's and
shape.
C's that
Yeah,
like,
and
don't
D's.
get used for anything.
D cells, D's nuts.
D's nuts. And it's just like in a perfect case, ready to rock. So I had I was lending a headlamp to someone the other day
Jesus.
and needed batteries for it. And I was like,
Her Game
got
Boy
this shit
player
on lock.
green.
I can do this in 30 seconds. I don't have to like go dig in the junk drawer for 4 different batteries and then try them each one by one
Yeah,
to see
and
which
hope
one
that
has
they work.
some charge on
Yeah.
it. It's crazy.
I feel like in our house, we have the opposite problem. It's always like the monkey paw of batteries where I'm like, I just need a AAA. And I open up the drawer and it's all AA's.
Yeah.
I'm like, no AAA's? And then I'm like, man, I need AA's. And I open it up, it's all AAA's.
Yeah.
I'm like, what the fuck?
I thought you were going to say that you just go around to different objects in your house that require
And
batteries.
cannibalize them?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, I have a bunch of rechargeable batteries that I use for my Game Boys. And there was a while where I couldn't find any of them because they just got like cannibalized and put elsewhere. And that was a fun
It's a dark time.
hunt and rescue to get those back. I was like, where the fuck
reclamation.
Let me look at everything that uses batteries in the whole house to try to find these. I think they were in like a mouse. You know, like a
Yeah,
Creature, like a small
like the
rodent.
creature, like a mouse had eaten batteries and was so strong, like an electric mouse,
Like the Energizer
like
Bunny, but
Pikachu. Pikachu,
Oh, Pokemon.
Pokemon, Fire Red. Tony's been playing Fire Red.
Well, I dabbled in emulators for the first time because
Oh, yeah.
it's so approachable now. I remember as a kid, like people would talk about them, but they were like janky. You'd have to download something off of the internet. You know how scary was that
Yeah.
at the time?
and you had to download the ROMs separately.
Yeah.
Like, how am I going to do this?
You have to open up LimeWire and fucking torrent it.
Yeah,
It's
like
just
all this crazy shit.
And you
And
were like,
now-
is the government going to come to my house? Oh,
Like for real. And now it's just so simple. Like top Google search is just like my Game Boy Advance emulator, right?
Yeah.
And you just download it instantaneously. And you play all the fucking games. Because
pretty great.
originally I was going to try and get my old Game Boy Advance working or something. And
oh,
like,
this Game Boy Advance?
Yes.
the one that's on my shelf right here.
That exact one. Like, actually, I will say I don't love playing it on my computer.
Yeah.
There is something about wanting to have it in my hand.
I agree.
And
Absolutely.
it's been really finicky with my controller. I think it's because of like the micro USB to USB cable I have is just like kind of shitty.
Yeah.
And so if it disconnects when I'm in the emulator, it like doesn't work. So I've been literally playing this with a keyboard.
Yeah. I mean, it works
It's
perfectly
like how
fine.
I'm
You just
playing,
need
yeah.
the inputs.
Yeah.
but-
So it's like a little bit of a different vibe. So I'm like sitting up playing it instead of being able to play like on the couch or in bed or something, which honestly is probably better for me because it's meant that I'm
Yeah.
playing it longer period of time.
With a slightly better posture.
Yes. Yeah. Because otherwise I probably would already be done and have just been like gremlin mode, like
Oh, yeah.
not sleeping and doing it. But it's like eventually I'm like, I don't want to be sitting at the computer anymore. I just want to like go do other stuff. But my first Pokemon game was Silver on the Game Boy Color.
Classic.
Like, I didn't
It's a beautiful
play red or blue or yellow. And so this is like my first delve into it. But I have watched
But this
many
is Fire
hours.
Red.
This is
So
Fire Red, yeah.
It's
So
the variation.
It's the
newer
new
mechanics.
Yeah, it brings in new mechanics, like updated graphics, all these
Yep.
kind of things. Like it's an all around better game. I'm sure there's some people that would be like, no, you got to play the OG Yellow or whatever. But
I agree, man. I mean, I wish they did that treatment with Yellow. That's the one downside to like
Yeah.
Leaf Green and Fire Red is that there isn't like a, I don't know.
Electricity yellow.
Yeah, exactly. Like they need that that yellow one. I guess that makes sense. I mean, I guess they
Slightly.
could call it that. It makes some sense. But I wish they did something like that because having Pikachu behind you in yellow was really great because you could like walk around and turn around and talk to Pikachu and like his face would appear.
Yeah.
And you could like see what Pikachu's mood was. It was great.
yeah. Well, I mean, they basically just included that for the upgraded Silver version, right? Where like you could do that. Heart Gold and Soul
Oh,
Silver.
yes.
You could
Yeah,
like
yeah.
have the lead of your party following you.
Yeah.
Which is
Yeah, eventually
so it
that
would have
just
been cool
became,
if they
like,
just like did that.
Something in most Pokemon games.
Yeah. But it's been fun because I've watched hundreds of hours of Kaizo Ironmon runs, and I was thinking about doing it myself, but I was like, I've never played this game, and so I'm like, I have to play the actual game before I do like a modified
variant.
version of
Yeah.
it or something.
Yeah. Before you get real crazy with it.
Yeah, but even now, as I'm playing it, I've been finding like I kind of want to just like
Yeah.
do a modified, weird, fun version of it.
Yeah.
It has been fun to like play through it, but I've already gotten to this point where I'm like, I'm just a grinder. I love a game where I have a thing, I'm leveling it up, and just I'll sit in a patch of grass for a long time
Yeah, dude.
doing the same thing.
The cycle is so fun.
Yeah, I just enjoy
a good
it
grind.
lot. Like some people, that's not their style of game, but for me, oh man, I love that shit.
Yeah. I think I used to really like it, but what I realized was the part that I like is like the incremental improvement of the characters and like the upgrades and like the new moves that you get and stuff.
For sure.
So the mechanism of unlocking those being grinding isn't something that I'm like super sold on. I've been playing a lot recently this game Tactical Breach Wizards, and you also, unlock new moves and new perks and stuff, and your stuff levels up, but it's sort of like a cross between like XCOM and Into the Breach, so it's like a tactical.
Oh, that's sick. XCOM rules, man.
Yeah, this game it takes the best of both of those games and combines them and packages it up with like a fun little storyline. It's a story-driven game as well, so it's awesome, and it also does a cool thing of allowing you to set your own pacing of the game pretty easily. So they'll add these levels that are like anxiety dreams. It's like your character just getting stressed and like dreaming. And they're like, you can skip these. It has no impact on it. If you want a tighter storyline, play it without these. But you get like.
Wish I could do that in real life. Am I right?
Yeah.
Wish I could skip my anxiety
I think
dreams.
there's a Will Smith
real life.
movie about that.
Really? Is it Men in Black?
No, it's
I am.
what's the one with the universal remote?
That's Click.
That's
It's
Click.
Adam Sandler.
Oh my God, it's Adam
Adam
Sandler.
Sandler.
Dude, the same era of like Will Smith peak though.
Real quick, Click is one of those movies where you're like, this movie's gonna fucking suck, and most of it does. But man, those last 20 minutes had me falling like a fucking
I thought it was a
baby,
pretty
dude.
good
Had me
movie.
crying a
Yeah,
lot.
I always enjoyed it as a kid. I actually
It
remember
hits.
my mom watched that movie like on a plane back in the day when one screen would come down and you had to pay for audio if you wanted to like
yeah, the
listen
group
to it.
movies.
Yeah, and so she didn't want to pay for the audio, but still watched the whole movie and was crying at the end. But it's just sitting there on a plane crying with no sound. It's like you get it, but like
That's the impact of Click.
yeah.
Dude, XCOM games are really fun. Have you ever played the Mario Rabbids game?
No.
Surprisingly, really good.
Yeah, I have heard that.
Super strange. You know, the rabbits are just weird. They're just like, here, what if there's some like weird little fucked up guys with Mario characters? You're like, okay. They're like a precursor to Minions, basically.
Yeah.
But the game was great. It was really, really dope and challenging for
Yep.
sure.
Yeah. This one's interesting because you can rewind in every level, each turn you're taking. You can rewind all the way to the very end of it. So like the turns are sequenced where you take all of your actions and then you say like, I'm good with my actions. Then the opponents take all their actions. And all the way up through the end of that, you can still decide to rewind and take the entire
that's
turn
sick.
from the very beginning. There's no limit to how
That's
much you can do
very
it.
cool.
And you can incrementally go back too. So you can be like, actually, I just want to change the last 2 actions that I did. Or unwind like 4 actions and reorder how I did 2 of them so that certain things happen.
I love that. So you can optimize. So you can be like, oh, like this didn't quite work out. Like I want to redo that a little bit.
And it's the kind of game where they'll have a cool mechanic like that and they'll have like a light lore explanation for why it works. Like one of the characters can see like a second into the future. So they're like, you're just playing it out in his head and then like actually executing like what actually happens.
Well, that's kind of cool.
So it's the kind of game where like they're tying each of those things in. They'll introduce a new mechanic and then be like, but this person has like this ability. That's why this mechanic works this way, which I think is
Sounds
really
fun
cool.
as fuck, man.
I think it's like 20 to 30 hours of gameplay and it's just like really cool, crisp stuff. It's great. Check it out. I think Sam in particular, I think you absolutely
sounds amazing.
love it.
Is
Yeah.
it Steam?
Yeah,
Is
it's
it on
like
Steam?
less than $20 too.
Fuck yeah.
How did you
Put that
find
on the old Steam?
Somebody
deck.
recommend it to you? Or?
I think it just showed up in my Steam like recommended for you, which is the first time I've bought something off of that list in a while. But
Hashtag
I
no
wanted to.
regrets.
yeah, no regrets at all on it. It's been awesome.
Yeah, I want to check that out. That sounds fucking fun. I've been looking for like a good tactics game because Final Fantasy Tactics Advance for the Game Boy Advance is probably my favorite game of all time. See, I'm combining both of your topics, Game
Yeah,
Boy
into
Advance
one.
games and
Tactics games?
turn-based tactic games.
Killing it.
Hell yeah. And that's like easily my favorite game of all time. And I've been trying to find Final Fantasy Tactics, but it's really only available on the PSP and PlayStation 1. And they keep like hinting at this like remaster that's going to happen at some fucking point, but it just isn't happening. And I'm like, I want to play this game, but I don't want to spend like a fuck ton of money on it.
Yeah.
Like
Get an
ROMs are
emulator,
fine.
baby.
I don't love emulators, man. I have a bunch of emulators. I even have handheld emulators that I've built. There's something about, specifically for like Game Boy emulation, for me, there's something about one, having the physical cartridge, and 2, being able to click the game on and play it and click the game off and not play it. Not having to boot anything up, not having to like run through an emulator interface or something, like go through your library of emulators and play. I love the pick up and play nature of like an actual Game Boy. I don't know. I'm just particular that way.
Would you say the lack of remaster of that game has made you salty?
Ooh, Mike. Yeah, actually, it really has, because I've been fucking mainlining roguelite. And like I said, I think in a previous episode that's coming out soon. And I just need something slow. What I truly want is a JRPG. Like, I want a good JRPG. I want to just sit. I want like a convoluted anime-like storyline. And Final Fantasy Tactics gives you that shit with an amazing tactics game. Oh, it's so fucking good, dude. I love it. But yeah, it does make me salty.
Does-
I was gonna say, let's refer back to the fever dream that just sort of happened. What, Sam? What's salt?
Salt is anything in the game of Magic the Gathering that is going to get you frustrated, angry, pissed off, anything that's not really going your way. You know, maybe you cast a turn 1 Soul Ring and someone hits it with a mental misstep. Fair play, you know?
Fair, that's dumb. They should save it for something else.
Nah, it's good.
Tony sounded
Good,
salty.
good.
Perfect example. Perfect example.
Blue
I was just
card.
doing it for the people at home so they understand.
Or maybe it's a power level mismatch. Maybe someone's trying to pub stomp with a Thassa's Oracle deck.
Maybe someone's not letting you pub stomp and you want to.
And you say, please, I need this. I need this.
I don't want to tell you what my deck is going to do, and I don't want to tell you the power level.
Yeah, and I'll keep my commander face down until we start playing because you're not going to like it.
Yeah.
You're not going to like the commander. There's a lot of different types of salt in Magic, and we talk about all of it so that we can learn from it and hopefully not be salty in a future game. It's an edumagicational show, as we like to say.
Indeed.
We do.
Indeed. Indeed. You guys ready for some stories here?
Oh,
So
baby.
ready.
Incredibly ready.
I'm about to rip a random one out of here.
Rip it.
All right. This one is titled The Salt Mill, and it comes to us from our buddy Alan. And the story goes, hello, I saw the YouTube video with Covert Go Blue and have been enjoying some episodes from the podcast.
Welcome.
Welcome. I've been holding on to this story for 20 years.
Oh, baby.
It's a limited story, but I hope it is salty enough. Story. The year was 2005, and the LGS was drafting Triple Ravnica City of Guilds for FNM. It was the first time Shocklands had been released, and they were a hotter item than the Dune popcorn bucket. For a bit of background, Dimir was one of the guilds highlighted in this set, and there were a lot of UB mill cards, allowing it to be a popular limited strategy as everybody loves to win by decking their opponent. Milling is really good in draft limited because people are usually playing with 40-card decks.
Specifically that format. I think that one is the one with Dissonant Whispers and Narcomoeba. So you're like milling yourself and
Ooh,
flipping things in. I might be wrong, but
I believe you. I won't fact check you.
carry on.
After the draft, I had collected a pile of janky mill cards. I remember another player, Jay, excitedly showing everyone in the store that they had not only pulled a Watery Grave, but also a Glimpse the Unthinkable. For 2 mana, the card mills 10 cards from your opponent, which in a 40-card limited deck is pretty strong. There was also a lot of hype around this card at the time, and it had more value than the couple of bucks it is worth now. Jay and I both lost in the first round, and we were paired up against each other for round 2. In a dirtily decisive game, Jay casts a card called Psychic Drain that mills X cards and would have won him the game, all whilst keeping 4 mana open. I cast Induce Paranoia, a 4-mana counterspell that mills cards equal to the mana cost of the countered spell. Jay smiles and casts his own Induce Paranoia, presumably to win the game. You can tell how bad our decks are, because I then cast a third Induce Paranoia, targeting his Induce Paranoia. As the Paranoia's induction commences, Jay's smile evaporates and his deck is turned upside down into his yard. Instead of the usual good game and handshake, he proceeds to silently take his cards out of his sleeves and rip them in half.
Oh no.
I don't really know how to react. This was before pairings/results were on smartphone apps, and we both had to sign a results slip to be returned to the store before the next round. I just sit there motionless while, one by one, his cards go from graveyard to exile, torn in 2. After about half his deck is turned into Blacker Lotus proxies, he gets to the Watery Grave and stops. He stares at the Shockland, for it felt like an eternity, and slowly starts to pull it out of his sleeve. Ultimately, with a shake of his head, he puts the card back into the sleeve and finds his Glimpse the Unthinkable. Jay walks out of the store, leaving a pile of confetti on the table next to me. Despite the outcome of the match, Jay and I were definitely closer afterwards for some light at the end of the salt bow. Thanks for reading. My God, dude.
Nice.
To be honest, I wasn't sure if they were going to rip the Watery Grave in half or not.
I was
Oh my God.
I was ready for them to just slowly fucking rip it.
Absolutely.
I don't know if I've ever seen someone so salty that they destroyed a card.
I feel like we've read once or twice on these kind of things, but I've never
Definitely.
seen somebody. And honestly, I have tried. Well, I guess they were foil. Have you ever tried ripping a foil?
Oh, yeah. Well,
They're
it's got
pretty
the
fucking
plastic
hard.
shit
Yeah.
in front, and it like doesn't really rip right.
I was mad. I was like trying to rip it and it like wouldn't go. And I was like, God damn it.
Yeah, Yeah, it's just like a weird little piece of film on it.
Yeah. Yeah. So it wasn't a very satisfying rip when that happened. I don't think I've even ripped like a.
Oh, I have.
Oh, have you?
I think it was just for like,
that? Like.
just to feel something. No, I've definitely ripped a card in half. I don't know. We used to treat Magic cards pretty poorly back in college days. For a very long time, I used a folded up Magic card to hold my Super Nintendo cartridges at the perfect angle so that they would actually hit the contacts and I could turn it on and play the games. It was like a planes that I'd folded like 4 times and I would jam it in there.
Jam it in there. Yeah.
It may still be over there. But yeah, there's a time where I was not kind to my cards for sure.
Yeah. Damn. Also, one by one, just pull it out, rip, pull it out, rip.
I don't know what I'd do. I think I'd say something. I think I'd be like, you
just in the corner, you okay, man?
or like put my hand out. And be like, stop. Do not do that. It's like my cat reaching for my plate of food. Like, no, do not do that.
Yeah. I don't know. What do we think about the salt rating here on this one?
What do you think, Mike?
I mean, it's kind of unclear. Like, I get that the player's frustrated and that's why they're ripping up their cards, but like, it doesn't seem like a normal like expression of frustration.
Well, certainly not normal.
Well, sure.
Yeah. Go quiet and then slowly rip your entire deck.
Yeah, destroy your possessions.
Yeah.
Like,
One by one.
You gotta be willing to destroy all those cards. Like, anyway, I almost feel like.
yeah, I mean, sometimes I do a draft and I'm like, I don't want these.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm not going to destroy
Yeah,
them.
but I
kinda what I
usually
mean.
just throw them in the trash or leave them on the table.
I feel like
trash.
I feel like it's more emblematic of like the player just
That's me
not
giving it to
caring
Mike.
about their draft chaff compared to like really being truly upset.
I don't know, man. I mean, it's just like such a ridiculous reaction. And to just do it silently, like I don't know, man. It's weird. That's like some serial killer behavior. I would be like really watching that.
because you're
person.
waiting.
Yeah,
Yeah,
there's
you
either-
have to get the form signed, right? And so you're just like
Yeah,
waiting for them
like,
to finish ripping their shit.
Can I just get you to sign this?
Yeah.
Please.
Yeah, it feels like there's either serious deep rage involved that person needs to work through, or just like it's kind of a funny bit. And I can't tell. It's not
Yeah.
in between. It's one
Yeah.
or the other, and I don't know which of the two it is.
Yeah, you want it to be the funny bit part. Only it
You
wasn't
hope
funny.
does
for the
not
other
seem like
person.
you're funny. And then they just leave with their ripped up cards, and I don't even think
No,
the
they
event
left the
was
cards.
over.
They left with the watery grade.
Yeah. Oh, they left the ripped up cards there. Like, I don't even think the event was over though. It sounds like there was still
It was over
maybe,
for them.
I guess so.
O2, you're done. Basically.
Oh, really? O2
I
drop.
mean,
You don't
depends
play
on
for-
the store. You can play for third, but like you're not going to win anything.
Yeah.
At a record of 1-2, you're pretty hosed.
Okay. That's fair. But even, I don't know, man. It's not even like it was that bad of a loss. Like, you just got out milled. Like, you were 2 mill decks playing against each other, and one of them milled faster than the other one. Like, don't you expect that to happen? If 2 mill decks play against each other, one deck is going to get milled out before the other. It's like, for that to occur, and then you're like, wow, I did not see this happen.
Yeah, but to build a deck, lose with it, and then play against the mirror and lose again, that feels very bad.
I mean, maybe you just suck, though. You know?
But like, still, if you suck, then you're gonna want to rip up all your cards and get home.
Oh, man.
Well, what do you think about the salt rating on it?
It's unnerving is what it is. It's a disturbing salt. Like, this is, I like I said, this is like serial killer behavior. I'd be like, what are you doing, man?
Yeah.
What is this? What is this display of emotion? It's not
alarming.
good.
At a minimum, yeah.
Yeah. Well, on to another salty story.
Another one.
Let's do it.
Let's move away from that salt
Yeah.
and the dune bucket that somehow will forever be a priceless reference.
The Dune bucket. Yeah, that caught me by surprise. All right, this next story comes to us from our friend, Just a Little MTG Guy. And the post is titled, It's a High Power Casual. And the story goes, Greeting and salutations, my briny boys. I have a super salty story that got saved with a little sugar break afterwards that I had to share with you lads. I recently attended a Command Fest over the weekend and jammed out a bunch of Commander games with friends and new people alike. It was a blast.
Congrats.
However, yeah, congrats. Enjoy that. However, nearing the end of day 1, I decided I'd grab one more for the road. There were already 3 people ready to go too. Amazing. We all sat down and started to chat about our decks. The cute little couple across from me are running a Karn the Betrayer, draw card, and pass around Karn deck, and Arabo Roar of the World Cats deck. She says to us, I just like cats, so I built a cats deck. You love to see it. And before I can even choose mine, the third member of our party, let's call him Mr. Casual, starts going off about how he always gets targeted down when he plays his Thrasios deck, my first red flag. So instead, he's going to play his Joda the Unifier deck that he spent a lot of money on, my second red flag, and insists that it is casual.
They said they wanted one more for the road, and I was going to make like a road Joda deck. And then but I was like, there's no Joda in this story yet. But there was.
But it is. And this was our salty card a few episodes ago.
Yeah.
So people know how bad this is. This card fucking sucks. I mean, it's just very powerful. Knowing how disgusting most Joda decks are, I pulled out my Karlov of the Ghost Council life gain / targeted removal deck, hoping I could have enough removal to keep him in check and keep him from bullying these two other players. I'll skip most of the gory details, but needless to say, he proceeded to drop a turn 1 Mox Diamond, turn 2 or 3 Joda, cascading into a Sisay Weatherlight Captain, dual lands, tutoring up Chromatic Orrery, and using it to tutor Atali Primal Conqueror, Realm Breaker into all 5 Praetors, etc., etc. Meanwhile, the Karn player has 3 mana and maybe 1 creature, and the cat deck is on 3 lands and a 1/1 cat.
The cat deck doing cat things.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm about the same, getting Karlov out, but not enough mana or interaction to do anything. I asked if he's sure the deck is a casual one, which he then proceeds to snap back at me and say, yeah, it's high power casual. Do you want to call a judge over and have them check?
Oh my gosh.
That is so awful. After that, I just backed off, and we all just sat for about a turn watching him diddle with himself, asking us, does this resolve on his bullshit while we're all tapped out in non-interactive decks? While I silently mouth the words, I'm sorry, to the other two as we all just zone out. Eventually, I just called it and said, I'm scooping, and the other two followed suit. Mr. Casual tried to justify his actions, saying he wasn't playing that just to try and snipe the 25-point ticket you get for winning, but we all just didn't care and let him take it and be on his way. It was just painful. So after he packed up his stuff and went away, I apologized to the couple and said, it's not normally like that, and I'm sorry you had to be part of that. Turns out that had been their first game the whole weekend.
Oh no.
Rough. So hoping to spread a little sugar on a heavily saltine experience, I asked if they wanted to try and play another one, just the 3 of us, and we then proceeded to have a super fun game together.
Nice.
I found out that they originally from the same city I grew up in, and we kept in touch and played some games throughout the rest of the weekend. Needless to say, we managed to bond over our shared trauma and avoided the other guy like the plague.
Yeah.
I know it goes without saying, and you gents do a great job of emphasizing the Rule Zero conversations about your decks, but apparently there are some people that still just will play whatever the hell they want, ignoring the social dynamic or conversations so they can just play with themselves with an audience. Anyways, sorry for the long story. Love the pod. Binged it all over the last month and a bit. Keep up the great work, lads. Cheers. Just a little MTG guy.
He's a little guy.
He's a little
His
guy.
are small.
His hands are small.
shoulders are
His
sloped.
features are small. His shoulders are slumped.
He's a little guy.
The thing in this story that really jumps out at me, that makes me incredibly salty, is when somebody is fucking doing all this bullshit and then they're like, oh, does that resolve? It's like, no fucking shit.
Dude.
No fucking shit, dude.
Yes.
Look at the board. We haven't done anything the whole time. Like, fuck off. Play your card and move on. I get so fucking worked up when people do that shit. If they ask me if shit resolves, I'm like, I'm in fucking like black red. Like, what do you? I'm Rakdos. Like, what the fuck do you think I'm gonna do right now? I'm tapped out. Like, fuck you. Oh my god.
I totally agree, dude. There's nothing that screams more of a power mismatch than somebody asking me if the stack resolves in a casual game. I'm like, what the fuck do you expect to happen, dude? Like, I'll tell you if I have a counter spell. I'll be chomping at the bit if I have one counter spell in my deck, maybe 2 or 3. Like, I will make it known. You don't have to be like, is the stack good to resolve? Like, fuck off, man.
Yeah.
Like, of course it's fine. I have a 1/1 cat.
Yeah.
And 3 tap lands.
It's like an indicator that they're playing at a different power level.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, fuck you.
Exactly.
If someone's deck description is based off of liking cats,
Yes.
you should not be playing Mox Diamond against them.
Yeah.
Yeah. That is when you reach for the precon.
Yeah.
Like at least, because that person's either playing a precon or lower. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, when they're just like, I just like cats, you're like, all right, let's have a fun game. This one's going to be fun for the whole family instead of fun for just one dude.
You could tell where it was going too. When he was like, "You want to call a judge over and check?" Like,
Oh man,
Yeah.
the fucking
you, dude.
attitude. I feel like these players have the most attitude because people hate playing with them.
Yeah.
and have been
Yeah.
rightfully so annoyed with them all day.
That's the thing. That player's experience is game after game of people being frustrated with them. It even opens with like they're complaining about it up front.
Yeah.
And
I always get targeted down whenever I play my Thrasios deck, so I'm going to play something else.
Yeah.
It's like, all right, I didn't ask that.
yeah. But it just does hint at that like larger problem that you're saying, Sam. Like, yeah, every game you're gonna have is going to be that experience if it's the attitude that you're bringing and the mentality that you're bringing to bring a deck that's stronger than everybody else's and look for a win. Like if that's what you're doing in casual games, people aren't going to like that. And they're either going to answer that with game actions, or in this case, they're going to answer it with being super disengaged and having a not interesting game with you and like having a shit time. So
Yeah.
if you're experiencing game after game, and this goes for a lot of life too, if you're experiencing game after game where something is wrong, maybe it's not everybody else that keeps showing up in there.
Yeah.
No. That can't be Mike. That can't be it.
What's the common variable in all these situations? Could it be you?
Yeah.
Could it be you?
And if you think it's just because you're playing Thrasios, maybe look beyond that. It's not just the Thrasios deck that you're playing every time.
Harder.
Yeah. What would Rafiki say? WWRD. What would Rafiki do? He would look harder.
Yeah.
And just like describing what the shit that Joda did, cascading into Sisay with the Chromatic Orrery, Atali Primal Conqueror, Realm Breaker with all the 5 Praetors. It's like, God damn, like they must have sat through so many long turns.
Yeah.
Ugh.
It was just fucking ridiculous. But.
Just so, and then he's like, oh, well, I just didn't even, I was just doing this not for the tickets. It's like, who cares, man?
Also, the reaction to like, are you sure this deck is casual? I mean, I will say it is still a casual deck, probably. Like it's Jodo with a bunch of
high power casual.
shit.
Like it's not a
this
CDH deck. But
So like, and that's one of the problems is people will think, they'll see all this power and be like, oh, it's not casual. And you're trying to communicate, hey, I don't think this power level is accurate for what we brought. Right. And they're defending like the straw man of it, of like, well, it's not CDH. It's like, that's not what we're saying, really. Yeah. Sure, it's what was said word for word in this story, but like, really the problem is that you're playing more competitive than everybody else by like, there can be a little bit of mass match, but in this case, it's a full order of magnitude of more stuff that's happening.
Like you have to think, if you are presenting a threat, if you have a deck that's fast enough to present a threat on turn 2 or 3, it says a turn 2 or 3 Joda.
Yeah, turn 3 probably if the next turn.
Like let's say turn 3. If you are playing a deck that presents a threat fast enough on turn 3, your opponents ideally should be able to have the capacity to respond by turn 3 or 4.
Yeah.
In my mind, like that is a good sign that there's a fair matchup in that game. If your opponents can turn around and respond. Most casual decks are still building on turn 3 or 4.
Yeah.
They're still like getting early creatures out. They're still ramping. You're casting your Kodama's Reach and Rampant Growth and shit like that. Signets, all that kind of stuff. Usually they're not presenting hard threats like that until, turn 5 at least.
Yeah.
Which means there's 2 turns of you not getting touched and adding to the already problematic board state that you have, right? So it's like now it's like really out of control by the time they can do anything, and it's just like too late.
Or one of those lower power decks needs to fully sacrifice their turn, focus on removal, and sacrifice their own buildup to stop you. And then if your deck is just going to keep steamrolling ahead, like then it's really just a speed bump, Like it's just so... There's so many things wrong with it. And I really like your point, Mike. I think there's a problem, and we've talked about this in episodes before, but there's a problem with semantics in EDH. And it's competitive and it's casual. Those 2 terms, frankly, suck ass. Because for so many people, like in our group, admittedly, When we say casual, we mean everything that isn't CDH.
Yeah.
That's just how we talk about it. With our own play group of like, do we want to play CDH or casual? Cool. Now that we're in casual, what type of casual do we want to play?
Yeah.
Do we want to play low power, mid power, trash magic, high power? Like these are tiers that we've defined within our own tight meta of 4 people. And even then we fuck it up.
Yeah. But it makes sense to us because we've played that experience so many times.
We have this terminology.
But we have an element of knowing going into it. Like, I think sometimes it'll be like, we just want to play at different levels of casual. And we'll just do it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, all right, I'll get pub stomp, but I want to play this deck.
Yeah.
Exactly. And but we like
You
accept
see
that.
it coming. Yeah.
But like, they're like, we're going to play a casual game. And this person's like, this person could be like us. Granted, I'm giving them a very generous read. I think this Joda player is a huge asshole and they suck and they intentionally pub stomped. But because of the way the terminology is, you could say, yes, I am playing a casual deck. It is not a CDH deck. So it does fit into casual.
Yeah.
Here I go. Like it does fit. But like, that's why you have to dig deeper or use other terms other than just saying like, is it casual? Even that power level system that is shitty even that is better than just being very, very general. And I'm not saying that like this is the fault of our OP here or any of the other players for not like digging deep enough with the rule 0.
I think they were all 7s. You know? He had a Tali Primal Conqueror, Joda, all these things, and other person had a cat.
It's basically an upgraded
the
precon.
same.
You know?
7,
Basically
7.
an upgraded precon.
Power level's the same.
But the thing is, like, when somebody wants to pub stomp, it doesn't matter how good your pregame conversation is.
Yeah,
'Cause they don't give a
pregame
fuck.
conversations rely on everyone acting like in good faith on what that conversation is
Exactly.
trying to do.
And like, that's not, there's no good faith here.
Yeah.
It's bad faith.
I'm going to throw out maybe another controversial take here, which is if someone says that I didn't do this for a specific number of points that I get by winning it, that there's a pretty decent chance that they did it for the specific number of points that they win.
Yeah.
Mike, they said they didn't do it for that.
But like if you are aware that you're getting 25 points for the win, it's probably because you want those 25 points.
And it's also like a who asked thing. Like if they bring that out of nowhere, it's like, well, I didn't think that that's why you did that, but now I definitely
now
think
I do.
that that's why you did that.
I think like the fact that you feel like you need to justify the fact that everybody just conceded, like that's the problem. Like, do you not see that to your point in the beginning, Mike, of like, you got to take a step back, right? They're just like immediately jumping on defending people being like, I don't want to play with you anymore. Yeah. Because that's in essence what it is. It's like, I'm done. I'm done with this game. But what do we think about the salt rating on this one?
It's high.
It's very fucking high.
It's so sad
so
to me
high,
when it's
dude.
someone's like first couple games they're trying to get in over an event too. Like this is this couple's first game they play at this event. What a terrible introduction to like these public Magic spaces. I find that so frustrating. And it's also like where you're likely to encounter these random strangers that happen to like have that layer of anonymity that makes them feel comfortable taking and bringing these two strong casual decks. But it's high for me. It's always sad when people get rare experiences ruined.
I feel like there are multiple individual aspects of this story that make it high for me. So it's like borderline off the charts. Yeah.
I agree. I mean, this is a true salt lord. Like it's been a while since we've had a salt lord in a post where someone is salt follows them wherever they go and they are unpleasant.
They're either
on purpose.
Right. They're either going to be super salty that they're getting targeted or they're going to make 3 other people have a salty, unfun game. Yeah. Like that's a salt lord right there. Every game they're in is going to have serious levels of it.
Does it resolve? He just wanted to hear them say, that makes me so fucking mad. I hate that shit. Let's get away from this.
Let's get another one.
I need something different.
Yeah, I need to get away from this one. All right, well, let's round it off with a patron post. This one comes to us from our buddy Digimans.
Oh, baby.
And this post is titled Crusty Cardboard Carrier. And it's a fucking long one, dude. He wrote like a small story. It's so long. So everyone buckle up. This is a long story.
I'm buckled.
Forgive me, daddies, for I have salty.
God.
This is my salty confession. My normal pod was down 1 player, so we found ourselves at our local gaming store looking for a 4th. And as most players know, there can always be a social barrier when playing with a stranger. And in the nicest way I know how to say it, I don't think I would talk to this person much outside of an MTG game. Be it my personality or theirs, we would not get along too well. So for the purposes, Sam and Mike, let's call them, are my friends, and Tony is the stranger who joined us.
Should have fucking known.
Also, 2 of these names are correct and only 1 is made up. That's pretty good. The first game was a doozy and got my pasta water warming. I was on Atrata. Tony was on Spellslinger Calomax. More about this at the end. Sam was on Gruul Werewolves, and Mike was on, doesn't matter, fuck 4th player. Nice.
Accurate.
The first instance of social annoyance was when I asked if Tony paid the 1 after he announced he was playing a spell for 4 mana. He replied, yeah, I paid 4 for it, to which I replied, oh, I'm sorry, I don't remember every card's mana cost. Very irritated. It was an obscure card, and you're sitting diagonal across the table from me. The game went on, and you could tell everyone was trying to figure out the awkwardness and trying to understand social cues, etc. Every Calomax turn took an eternity, almost as if maybe somebody hasn't played that deck since the last time it took over a casual game. To add to my simmering pasta water, the game ended with, as you could guess, Tony playing fucking solitaire to, quote, find the win. People, know your win cons and walk them out quicker. Moving to game 2, we're doing fine. Socially, everybody's vibing just fine, and the pasta is uncooked. My salted water was simmering nicely, with some bubbles of awkwardness here and there. I'm on Glissa the Trader. Sam pulled out Gallia Voltron, Mike is on Volo, and Tony is playing some mono green mill deck that added a lot of Fallout stuff. I don't know. Get fucked, 4th player. This game started slow for me, but Mike and Sam were the biggest threats until Mike got knocked out by a massive Gallia swing from Sam. Mike picked up his stuff and pieced it at this point. 2 shit games and it was late. He was fucking done.
Accurate. I'm done. Fucking done.
That is so inaccurate. Mike will play into the night.
That's a Nick move. 2 bad games. 2 bad games. Nick is like, I don't have time for this. I'm fucking going to bed.
That is facts.
Then I did my thing with Mindslaver, controlling multiple turns of Sam and swinging at Tony. Tony, who did nothing almost all game, just drawing for turn and passing, had gotten a friend over at the table, excited that he fogged against a Mindslaver Gallia 36-36 attack. We moved through Tony's turn, another 5-second turn, to mine, to which I swung with some infect creatures. He blocked my 4-2 infect with a 2-7. No big deal, but there was a communication error that annoyed me. I asked what his creature had left toughness-wise. It's got 3 left, right? In my head, I'm taking the toughness and subtracting my infect. It's at 4, was the reply from both Tony and his friend that just came over a couple seconds ago and was hovering. The confusion I felt kept growing. No, my creature is at 4 power, to which they replied in tandem like creepy children from that one movie, Infect doesn't deal damage. To which I replied, I know, I'm playing an Infect deck, that's not news to me, and ultimately did not matter for the math I was doing. Wow, that is very pedantic. I'm still very calm at this point, just confused. Now imagine this back and forth happening multiple times where all I'm trying to do is figure out how much more infect to kill this creature, and I have 2 rule roosters squawking the same pedantic bullshit over and over. I was finally able to explain to them that I was going from 7 down to 3 with my -4 infect counters while they were counting up. They didn't like this thought process of mine at all. So fucking dumb. The worst thing is that I had proliferate effects that happened that gave it 5 infect counters. I don't feel like working that into the story though. Thanks, Digi. Now that we both realized we were saying the same thing, I moved on to the casualty of my 4-2 creature, stating, okay, this creature dies. The table hovering drone shouts, no, it doesn't. I reply, yes, it does, and move to the graveyard. And Drone Boy continues to dispute, it doesn't die. The pasta is cooked. The salt water was not only boiled, but evaporated. My pasta is stuck to the pan, burnt. I shout, what the fuck are you talking about? You've been here for 5 seconds. Get out of here. As I now have to explain that Tony's 2-7 kills my 4-2. But this time I'm not calm. I'm a loud East Coast Italian, wild hand gestures, and a violent shoo-shoo motion with my arms as I almost jump out of my seat to get him to leave me alone. The hover covered his mouth, oh yeah, and weirdly giggles his way out from the table. Tony also left the table to grab his wings that got delivered to the LGS.
Nice.
Mind you, it's like 11 p.m. Thank goodness, I thought as I sat back, calming myself down, trying to figure out why it's easier to communicate with my 2-year-old niece. I ended up winning the game through Mindslaver and Infect, but the whole night felt off. So let's go back to the beginning, and maybe the listeners will understand where the social balance was off. Sam, Mike, and I sat down, and from behind me, I hear an excited, you guys need a 4th? I turn around to see this individual holding 3 large, long cardboard boxes, one stacked on top of the other in a basket of their belly, swaddled like a baby. All of them dirty. But among these 3 boxes, was one in the middle, very browned along the edges, beat up and crusty. I'm not trying to judge how you carry and move cards around. This game is expensive, and I love doing things to save on expenses. But why is this box so brown? What happened to this one particular box that it's so much dirtier than the other two? I pushed past my initial confusion to what really set me off. Tony, the stranger, asked us to choose a box. I'm not doing that shit. Silly Sam, one of the kindest people I know, decides to play along. He chooses the crusty box. Of all the boxes, the crusty one. Tony opens it and then says, pick a deck. Which deck do you want to play against? And then proceeds to rattle off commanders. Sam, still playing along, has never played Calamax, so he chose that deck. That's where it all started. Pick a deck, any deck. This isn't a magic trick. It's Magic the Gathering. I'm not trying to answer some survey or play a mini game before we get started. This is worse than people who roll a die to decide for whom they should attack. Something about this bothered me deeply. So deep, I didn't know its flavor existed within my mind. Thanks, Digi.
I'm thinking that maybe Digi had some preconceived opinions about this player. And I'm also thinking that maybe most of them were accurate. Because this does seem kind of annoying. But
Yeah.
what is the brown stuff on the box, right? That's the question.
I think it's just hand grease. I mean, he ordered wings, man, you know?
yeah.
I was being
sometimes
very
it's just-
sarcastic.
I do feel like there is there's definitely salt here. There's definitely
Yeah.
like salt I agree with in the story. I do also think there's some shit colored glasses here.
Yes.
Where it's
Yes.
like, you know, you just meet someone and you're like, I don't really like this person. And then they breathe wrong and you're like, fuck you, you know?
Yeah.
Like that is 100% going on here. Just didn't like his aura. He was like,
Yeah.
there's something wrong here.
Yeah. It's not good. I
The
don't like
vibe is wrong immediately.
Also, understood, Digi, that like you don't like people making other people choose their decks and doing mini games and stuff, but like a lot of people love that shit. Like honestly, a lot of people really like the idea of like, oh, fun, they're getting to help engage in the deck tuning part, or like, oh, I get to play against a commander I've never played against. Like that'll be positive. Like that stuff really does work for people and can be something that some people need in order to like break the ice a little bit as you're sitting down in a new pod. So like I get that that's not everybody's cup of tea, but I'm not out here advocating for like a blanket ban on people engaging with each other
100%.
prior to the game starting, which is really what that is.
Like the amount of Patreon game nights I start by being like, which deck do you want me to play?
Yeah.
I have these four. You guys pick. Is like 100%.
Yeah.
Like I usually give the patrons a big option. You know, I'm like, what experience do you want? I have these four decks. Like you guys pick. And usually that's fun. I actually enjoy it when people do that. I like it because I can sort of talk about the decks and be like, well, what power level is this? Or what kind of experience do I want? And, you know, sometimes people be like, well, I could play this deck or I could play this deck. And, you know, it's not the same as saying like, hey, I have 3 boxes of decks that we can go through. But even giving like 2 or 3 options, I feel like that's very common. And often I'll pick the one that it's like, okay, well, you have a Cascade deck. Like maybe I don't want to play into that.
Yeah, just to
And-
get some variety.
And maybe I want to play like a deck that's more combat focused because
Yeah.
I know it's going to be like a fun matchup against my decks versus like something that might be like really hard to play into or lead to an unbalanced game. Gives you that option, you know?
I feel like I hear what both of you are saying, but I don't think this is where the salt came from.
No,
It's
No.
just wound up being like getting added on
as Sam
Exactly.
said, shit-colored glasses. That,
Yeah.
Like if the rest of the game had been perfect, I don't think there would have been as much commentary on the pre-game antics.
Yeah, and whether those shit colored glasses were put on when you met this player or whether they materialized during the game and you looked back at that introduction with shit colored hindsight, like, you know, who knows? But so let's talk about like the real salty thing here. To me, I think the crux of the salt here is people being really pedantic.
Yeah.
Unnecessarily pedantic, specifically about Infect. So I don't know if people caught that, but basically Infect doesn't deal damage. Infect deals damage to creatures in the form of
It's actually bullshit. It does deal damage. In fact, deals damage.
Does it?
deals damage in the form of
-1/-1 counters.
So when creatures take that damage, instead, it's like a replacement effect, right? Instead of taking damage, they take a -1/-1.
I don't think it's a replacement effect. I think the damage is dealt in the form of -1/-1 counters.
Yeah, it says damage to a creature by a source with Infect isn't marked on that creature. Rather, it causes that source's controller to put that many -1/-1 counters on that creature. So yeah, it's not really a replacement effect. They still do take damage.
Yeah, exactly.
So if you had an effect that was like,
When this deals damage, that would trigger.
yeah,
You
or
do
like
effects.
destroy target damaged creature or something like that. Like I think there were some effects like that. It would still trigger.
I'm not sure about that piece, but if you have like if this creature deals damage to another creature, an infect creature can get that trigger.
But yeah, it is kind of like weirdly pedantic.
Because in the story, Digi's asking like how much toughness is left on the creature.
Yeah. So it is 3 toughness left. And they say, no, it's 4, which that really doesn't make sense. I still don't quite get that because it's not at 4. Anyhow.
They're saying there's 4 -1/-1 counters on it.
Yeah, okay. I see that. Like it's
Like
taken.
they're saying it's at 4 counters.
Yeah.
But he's asking how much toughness is left, not how many counters are on it.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, even that's getting me pissed off. I get it. Like it's such a pedantic like road bump. It's like, how are we playing the same game?
It's when you get in a conversation like that and someone's so focused on being right.
Yeah.
Which like I'm always super, it's a flaw of mine that it is very important to know who's right when there's a disagreement for me.
Hey.
We share this.
Yeah,
Sam
we
and I share this sincerely.
Yeah.
But
Just so you guys know, I'm always right. So.
yeah, so that's why Tony doesn't care who's right because
Yeah.
he just gaslights everyone into saying it's himself. The reason I'm so focused on knowing who's right is because I want to get to the bottom of the conflict or the discussion or the problem or whatever it is
Yeah.
with the most clarity and the most like accuracy to it. So if being pedantic is a roadblock to that and we need to like figure out the communication slightly separately, let's do that. This is like, I don't care that we're trying to understand what toughness is left so that you can take more game actions. I'm going to insist that you don't understand that your infect damage has put 4 -1/-1 counters on my creature.
Yeah.
That does piss me off to like
Same.
to no end. Like it doesn't matter what the pedantics of it are in this specific place. Like figure out the state that the game is in so that the game can progress.
Yeah, it feels like trolling at that point. Like it feels like pedantry for the purpose of being a jerk is like you can tell when you're being pedantic and the other person is like not having a
Yeah.
good time. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
I feel
Usually
like
pretty obvious.
yeah, especially here. But
Yeah.
I don't know if you're just like laughing along with your little impish buddy who's floating around.
Yeah, that's part 2, right? A friend coming over is already like lightly annoying. A
Yeah.
friend coming over and trying
And commenting on
like
the
to
game.
mansplain what's going on in the deck without the
yeah.
context of what's going on.
And when
Awful.
they're wrong and stuff.
Yeah,
And
when
they're
you're
wrong.
Like,
Awful.
You just fucking showed up, dude. Like you don't even go here.
Yeah.
You know?
Awful.
Yeah, that is very frustrating that it like caps off with them being like, well, my creature's dead. It's like, no, it doesn't. He's like, motherfucker, my creature is dead.
Yeah.
You think I don't know my creature is dead?
That's when the East Coast attitude comes out.
Yeah.
Which I
Yeah.
like.
He's like,
I'm in the East Coast of town.
get out of here.
that.
Coffee.
What
It's him with the Rhode Island coffee. Coffee.
what do we think about the salt rating here on this one?
Digi, you were fucking salty. Dude.
Yeah, they just maxed out on salt.
You were
on that
so salty. I feel like you wrote this fresh.
one. In a rage.
Yeah, you were like, this dude is crusty and I hate everything about
Yeah,
it.
the salt is high here.
I mean, his pasta was stuck to the bottom of the pot.
Stuck to the bottom of the pot.
Have you ever left pasta in a pot so long that happened?
Tony?
No, Sam has.
Have I told this story?
Yes,
before?
you told us twice on the
It
podcast.
hasn't been twice.
It has been twice.
Really?
Yeah,
Right.
when it ends up off the back of your balcony in college.
I
Yeah,
feel like I told this in real life a lot of times.
twice at least on the podcast.
Listeners, let me know if I told this story. Otherwise, I will make a string rants about it. It's a good story. Dude, I just recently
It may
burned
be a
corn
string
on the cob.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I was boiling some corn and then I was like, man, gotta smell like it's burning. And I opened it, all the water had boiled off. And I was like, am I burning corn somehow? I still ate it. It was still good. I caught it pretty early.
I always grill my corn, but I know boiling is a very common way.
Well, it was something where my parents came over and they were like, this corn is really fresh. You guys just had a baby. Here's like a meal and make sure you enjoy this corn. They left and I was like, I don't know if I've ever prepared corn. Like I was trying to think if I've ever prepared corn on the cob. And I was like, I guess I just boil it. And they had like kind of filled a pot with water and were gonna make the corn. And then I was like, we'll just make it. And then they left and I was like, well, this must be enough water because my mom filled it up. So I just put it in and boiled.
And leave it up on like
I boiled it. What do you mean crank it and leave it up on high? I boiled it.
I mean, you want to get it to boiling, but then you can like turn it down.
Is that
otherwise it's all going to evaporate.
Well, yeah, I don't fucking know
steam
that,
it.
man.
Yeah, steam that.
I don't know. I don't know the corn rules.
Did you
Whatever
stand
you
the
did,
corn up,
wrong.
Stand it up.
or did you just lay it all down?
I laid it down. I put it in the pot.
Gotta stand those bitches.
I put the corn in the pot and I boiled the water. Like, if boiling corn in a pot has more steps than putting corn in the pot and boiling water, then fuck corn, man. I don't even want to look at corn. Fucking stupid corn. What are we talking about? How salty Digi is?
Yeah, how salty Digi is.
Digi's fucking salty, man. Good Lord. Like, I mean, I get the, like, again, shit colored glasses, and those glasses be stinking. Like, he's fucking mad. He is so mad.
Yeah.
I think I said this in the last episode too, or a recent one at least, of like, you're going to meet some people that are just not your vibe, that you do not
totally.
want to play with.
Totally.
And it's good that you can identify that. It sucks that you can't, just by identifying it, remove those people from your pod, and you're still going to get games in with them. But man,
sometimes it is not a good match.
No.
You know?
Yeah, for sure.
What do you think about, like, are there any ways you can navigate like someone that you just can't communicate with cleanly?
Concede and leave.
Honestly, I think in a lot of those situations, I would like back down off the topic. Like if I was like, how much toughness is remaining on your creature? And I knew it was 3 and they were saying it was 4 or something. Depending on how pedantic that got and frustrating, I would just back down and know that I'm correct. And then when it's relevant, I would bring it up again.
Yeah.
Once you are assuredly knowing that the creature has 3 toughness left, there's really no reason to continue to argue it until that is relevant.
I think the problem is they aren't assured because the other people keep saying 4. There's 4 on it.
Yeah, but Digi seems to be assured. Digi seems to be like, no, motherfucker, it's 3, you know?
He's saying how much
think it's
toughness.
3?
He's
Yeah.
saying how much toughness does it have? 3? And they're saying it has 4 on it.
That
it
is-
has 4 counters on it.
It's fucking crusty motherfuckers.
Yeah, that's so shitty. Because it's so
It's just really annoying behavior. Like, I don't know, man. You're just being a little dickling.
Well, is it that time of the week?
Tony, I'm glad you asked, because I got to get away from this fucking salty story, man. It's making me mad. It is that time of the week. It's the time of the week that comes every week.
Oh, baby, every motherfucking week.
It's the time of the week where we say, Mike?
Mike. What?
What's the salty card of the week?
The salty card of the week this week is
The way you politic, it makes me really fucking sick. Turning the tables against one, and that one is always me. Another board wipe later, just let me play the game. Here does the spell finally resolve. It'd be the first one of the game. You're staxing up my lands, and I never had a chance. Oh, I started this way too high. And only if I knew that I should have played some blue, and now you steal the win. Mailing me out again. Nice work you did. You're making me salty, kid. You know the song?
yeah, it's a fucking
With a mana drain and a rule of lie and play, slapping down a magistrate, a card I really, really hate. Now I walk away, learn something new today. Whenever it's an 8, it is really only bait. And that is, You're Making Me Salty, Kid. Also, You're Gonna Go Far, Kid, by The Offspring, requested by our patron, ZZ. Thanks, ZZ. I fucking love that song. That song is a banger.
Well, thanks, Sam. That was a lovely salty song of the week.
Thanks, Mike.
The salty card of the week this week is Fight the Fight. Fight the blank fight.
Oh, is it a sticker card?
It is 1 and a green for an enchantment aura. Enchant creature you control. When this aura enters the battlefield, you may put a name sticker on it. When you do, enchanted creature fights up to 1 target creature you don't control. Enchanted creature gets +0/+2 for each name sticker on this aura with 8 or more letters.
Just the amount of text makes me hate it.
This is a non-acorn black border Unfinity set card.
What do you mean non-acorn? As in you can play it?
As in this is a commander legal card.
What's the name again?
Fight the blank fight.
I have to look it up on Scryfall because I just can't comprehend sticker cards. So it's a legal Unfinity card that uses stickers.
Yep.
Mike, how do stickers work?
So stickers at the beginning of the game, you have a sticker side deck. Some number of those sticker cards, which are like preset sticker cards established by Wizards, are randomly chosen as the stickers that you're going to use for the game. Mm-hmm. And then I don't know where it goes from there. I think it's 3 out of the 10 sheets go from there. And then when you would put a sticker, you get to select 1 sticker from any of those.
From that pool that you have.
And then the additional level of nuance is that stickers like do stay on things as they move between public zones, but they don't stay on them if they move between private zones. Like if you put a stickered card into your deck, pretty sure it loses the sticker.
Yeah.
If a stickered card goes from play into exile or play into your graveyard, it's still going to keep those stickers on. I'm pretty sure. I am not a sticker expert, that's for sure.
Real quick, I do have the sticker rules. This is like the reminder card for the sticker back sheet. Let me just read it real quick. In Constructed, you bring at least 10 unique sticker sheets, no repeat sheets. That's cheats. Before each game begins, choose 3 at random to use that game. When told to sticker a card, choose a name or art sticker for free. Ability or power and toughness stickers cost just a few tickets each. There is like a ticket system in Unfinity. Cards keep their stickers on the battlefield, in the graveyard, and in exile, even the command zone. If a card goes to your hand or library, its stickers go back to the sheet.
Oh, so I had it.
Yeah, you had it.
Nice.
I have never heard of this card. And to me, there's so much bullshit on there. I'm just like, it's like a fight spell. There's like 10,000 other fight spells. I think I'd mostly be annoyed if somebody played this because I'd be like, what the fuck is all this other shit? Like, I can't imagine that the other fights. How much was this again? 4 mana?
2 mana.
2 mana. Gotcha. So maybe you run it just for the fucking sake of it. I feel like most people would just be like, yeah, it says all this other stuff, but it's just a fight spell. And like, I feel like that's all that would make me salty about this card. That there's like kind of this added mechanic that doesn't really need to be there, that probably isn't relevant in most scenarios. In a game of Magic, I'd probably treat it as I did just now. It's not that I wasn't listening to you, but I borderline tuned out when all the sticker stuff. Yeah, I'm just like, what is? There's like too much. Like I don't like.
Yeah.
Just tell me what happens. Like, did you kill my thing? Cool. Done.
Yeah.
That's the interaction that would happen in a game for me. I'd be like, okay, just tell me like what fucking happens.
Yeah.
And I'm just gonna believe you at face value, and we're gonna go from there. Like.
Oh, my thing's dead? Okay, great.
Yeah, basically. Like, I don't care that you're like now gonna fucking put 6 stickers on it, and because of that you get 10 tickets, and then a unicorn comes out of somewhere and we fucking move on. Like, what the fuck ever. Like, that's my vibe on this card.
Sam, how do you feel about this one?
I feel very similar. Like, I'm amazed that this is even a salty card.
Me too.
I'm amazed that people are seeing this anywhere.
Yeah.
I've never seen this card in my life. I don't even know if I ever will. I do wonder, like, I mean, again, this is EDH Rec. I was about to say, I do wonder if it's salt from other formats, because I know sticker cards have been like a pain in the ass in like other formats with Sticker Goblin, or Mind Goblin, as some people call it sometimes.
Hey.
That's why sticker cards were banned. I forget what format that was in. Was that Modern?
Legacy, I thought.
Legacy, yeah. That's why sticker cards were banned in Legacy, because Mind Goblin was such a synergy piece that people were playing clones in their decks, and even if you weren't running Mind Goblin and you had clones, you had to have your own sticker sheets in case you were going to clone a Mind Goblin. It became this metagame where every single deck, whether you had a clone or Mind Goblin in your deck, you would show up with sticker sheets.
Yeah.
Because it was also part of the metagame. So, because if I sat down and you saw I didn't have a sticker sheet, you'd like have an idea that like, oh, he doesn't run clones, he doesn't run Mind Goblin. Yeah. So it became this like really weird extra step where everyone had these sticker sheets and had to pick 3 at the start of the game, and they were like, this isn't it, this isn't what it's about.
Yeah.
I'm not a fan of Unfinity. I'm not a fan of unsets. I think they're a little too silly. There's definitely a market out there for people who love this kind of shit. It's just not for me. Like, I appreciate that they're a part of the game. I really wish that Wizards didn't do that acorn stamp, non-acorn stamp. Like, I would just prefer that they were all silver bordered and not legal in EDH, because I think most of the mechanics are clunky at best and incredibly convoluted and unintuitive at worst.
Yeah.
And I don't know, just not a fan. I don't think it would make me salty, but if someone sat down and was like, "You guys cool if I play my sticker deck?" I might be like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Do you have any other decks?
And legally, someone, legally, within the rules of the
Yeah,
format,
people
somebody
can.
could do that.
Oh,
There
yeah.
are sticker-based commanders out there.
I mean, I'm not going to say no if someone wants to. If someone has stickers in their decks, I'm not going to pack up my shit and leave like somebody who's mad about the Walking Dead cards or something, But I will roll my eyes for sure. How do you feel about this, Mike?
I agree. I think that the problem with this card is just how much text and how much rules setup gets involved for such a simple effect. It's a fight spell that usually standardly gives +0/+2. It's effectively Warbriar's Blessing, which is literally this card without the stickers.
Yeah.
That's a 2 mana, one in a green enchantment, comes in, attached to a creature, gives it +0/+2, and has it fight something. That is literally this card, except for the condition where you manage to put additional ability stickers on something, and you manage to give +0/+2 again, so you're getting +0/+4 on the creature. But like it's so much.
That's the end
rules.
result.
Yeah,
Yeah, the end result is that it has.
additional
that sometimes it can give more than +0/+2.
Yeah, if your creature already happens to have like
fucking-
one or two other stickers
Yeah.
on.
So it's an entire
Now I'm
mechanic.
salty about it because it's just fucking stupid.
I told you, on like clunky at best, convoluted at worst.
Yeah, an entire mechanic, an entire side deck that you need to bring
Yeah.
to the game for a functional reprint of a card that already exists. That's pretty brutal to me. I think
Silly, dude.
to echo what you were saying, Sam, like I actually don't have any problem with the idea of some cards in Unfinity sets being legal. I actually like that. I think there are cards that it fits really well for. Cards that like feel like they would be a Magic card anyway.
Yeah.
I actually think about this a lot when I think of like the Cheese Stands Alone.
Oh, that's
which
a
is
great
like
example.
not a legal card, but actually mechanically would totally be fine in Commander. It's actually like a slightly better version of the other card that is exactly the same thing, but is only an upkeep trigger, I think. So like there are these cards where like, I wish that Unfinity card or Unset card was legal.
Saw in Half is a good
Saw in Half
example.
was that's exactly where I was going.
Yeah.
Fits totally normally in the normal rules of Magic, doesn't require anything outside of like normal Magic understanding in order to get it.
Yeah.
The flavor of it is quirky and whimsical and funny, but like you could see a Saw in Half reprint in a Ravnica set in like a Rakdos theme.
We saw a Saw in Half reprint in Bloomborough.
Yeah, exactly. So like it's very easy to fit that
Yeah.
mechanically and flavorfully,
Sure.
yeah, flavoraciously into a set
Voraciously.
without requiring a whole new rule set. This
Yeah.
is just like you've introduced so much complexity for a relatively simple effect that it's like beyond
clunk.
unworth it.
Yeah.
So I agree. I was really surprised to see this on the list.
I'm shocked.
Let's jump to the guessing part. Where do
Yeah.
you guys think this lands on the list?
275.
My guess is 290.
Well, Tony takes it.
All
You
right.
shouldn't be proud about it. It's 162.
What the fuck?
Yeah,
How?
I have no idea.
I feel like this is an error.
I think I might be missing something about how this card gets worse. Like,
I
What?
thought you were going to say on how you were reading the list to determine
no,
that it was
I'm not missing
like,
something there.
That
What-
just seems
what-
crazy.
What decks are playing this fucking card?
Exactly. Listeners, tell me. I don't know. The two decks that it does show up immediately and that it makes sense are Tuscan Whiskers, which is a sticker-based commander, and Ambassador Blorpity Blorp Boop, which is another sticker-based commander.
Stupid
And then
uncards,
the
man. Fucking
the
dumb.
most dangerous gamer, which is yet another Unfinity card, but no stickers on it, but it is an attractions based
Fuck, dude.
thing. So I think that this is a salt sponge for all of these decks that run sticker and Unfinity, like legal Unfinity commander cards. I think this is just
Yeah.
being the sacrificial Unfinity card that's like taking all the heat for these cards here.
I don't want to like look through the list, but I'm almost curious if there's other
Yeah.
sticker cards
Same.
that are in like a similar band just as a result. Like people see it and they're like, okay, it's a fucking sticker card, so they're just like voting it higher somehow. But
Yeah.
There
I'm
are
not-
a couple other Unfinity cards mixed in here.
Like I'm not positive how that voting algorithm works, but I do wonder if like once something catches votes, it starts to show up in more people's voting lists.
Oh, sure. Which
And-
then, like,
And it was
they're
just
all
like
voting
people were
on
like, "Oh yeah, fuck
stupid.
stickers,"
Yeah.
and like voted for it.
And then in comparison to other
pushed it up.
cards, like in a head-on-head fight, the Unfinity card probably gets marked as saltier than the other
Yeah,
cards.
I could see the Unfinity cards being this high. Like if you were to categorize
Yes.
all of them
Yeah.
as one thing of just
Yeah.
like Unfinity cards being on this list,
For sure.
I definitely see it being at that point. But that card specifically,
Yeah, this card specifically is just very mid.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
that's so weird. What
It
a
is.
strange,
It's
salty
not
card.
Yeah, that wasn't
Love it.
one.
That wraps it up for the Salty Card of the Week. Thanks for playing.
Thanks, Mike. That was a great salty card. And thank you to all the prospectors out there for tuning in to another episode of the Howling Salt Mine. You know we got to shout out our Salt Packet Plus tier members. And this week we have Thoughtmas Prime, Rothbox, Sire Speedy, Bobo Fett, Brimstone, Captain Cross, Elgo Fogel, Clearbrook, D. Beeson, Gilgamesh, Doug's Dad, Bark Bark, Pez, Swankub, The Quiet One, and Vok. Thanks for your support, guys. We really appreciate it. And thank you to all the other prospectors that tune in every single week to the Howling Salt Mine. If you are looking for more Howling Salt Mine in your life, check out our Patreon, patreon.com/Howling Salt Mine. If I haven't said it enough, this is the heart of the community. If you want to be hanging out with us in the Discord every day, chatting about new cards, chatting about new episodes, chatting about our pets, our food,
Our anime and manga recommendations, our video games, proclivities,
Our
so much stuff. Legos,
Legos.
so many tattoos, music.
There's like 3 people you could talk about sports with.
Yeah, that is a channel.
Yeah,
that is a
that
channel.
channel exists.
It's a really great time. You can also get our bonus content if you jump in at that Dash tier, get access to the Salt Council, where we talk a little bit more behind the scenes stuff. Hear our extra Salt episodes. You can hear our Q&As. You can hear the Off the Rails episodes. There's a bunch of fun goodies in there if you're craving more of that Howling Salt Mine content. Another way you can help out the show is to send us your salty stories, whether you submit those on our website, which is thehowlingsaltmine.com, or howlingsaltmine.com will also get you there, or you submit it to us in our Gmail, which is thehowlingsaltmine@gmail.com. We will throw that into the cauldron of stories, mix it up, and pull 3 out every single week. Another way that you can support the show is to check out our merchandise, which we have shirts on Bonfire, playmats on Jank Mats, and selling Howling Salt Mine sleeves on our own website. Another way you can help out the show is to give us a 5-star review in your favorite podcast app of choice, whether that is Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or what have you. That is going to go a long way to help us show up more in the algorithm. It's really kind of a natural, unnatural advertisement as we get suggested to more people who listen to other Magic the Gathering podcasts. It's a great way to spread the word, and it's free, and it's very easy to do. Lastly, you know we got to shout him out, our buddy Devin Burnett, for giving us our beautiful podcast art. If you're ever in Ashland, North Carolina, hit him up and get a tattoo because he's a really cool guy.
10,000 subscribers are buzzed.
Indeed. And as always, everyone, stay salty and don't forget to draw an additional card during your draw step.
It's the Howling Salt Mine. The Howling Salt Mine.
Mike, I must insist that you put the fidget spinner down.
I'm fidgeting though and spinning. I know.
The squirrel vibes.
Yeah. Well, just because it's holding down this like snake eel thing, it's about
Yeah.
to fucking hack it in half.
People thought that was a
Aggressive.
meat. People thought that was an eat the ass meat reprint.
I mean, checks.
The fact that you don't know the card actively,
Yeah, whatever the fuck
but
it
you
is.
know it's eat the ass meat.
Meat massacre. Meat massacre, man. I don't know. Whatever. That's it.
Doesn't need
All
to
right,
be.
what are your guesses?
Do you
Have you ever had dreams? Do you want him to do so much you can do anything? Do you think there's Howling Salt Mine fanfic yet?
I
Well,
hope
what
so,
is it?
dude. If there's Howling Salt Mine fanfic, direct me to it. I want to read that. I'm going to read that shit.
But what is salt? Tony asked. pleadingly.
Tony spread his grippers.
Yeah.
Lay it fucking on me, said Tony.
Lay it fucking on me, baby. Tenderly.
As Sam slowly spread.
His butt cheeks.
all right.
It was tasteful.
Yeah,
It was
tasteful.
not.
It was actually tasteful until
It was
then.
pretty tasteful until you.
Very subtle, highbrow.